Okay, guys, here's my report. I just want to get into it straight away. I've got quite a few bits to cover. A worldwide conflict cannot be ruled out, according to global politics experts keeping a close eye on US-China relations. Zhang Yangshen, former Secretary General for the National Development and Reform Commission's Academic Committee, gave a stark warning at an annual debate hosted by South China Morning Post. He said a key issue for 2018 is whether we can avoid international conflicts and confrontation, and the relationship between China and the US will largely decide if the world can move past the current globalization interlude. Mr. Zhang was speaking on a panel examining the relationship between China and the US. Others backed the statement, saying a nuclear fallout of catastrophic proportions could begin over a trade dispute as President Trump and President Xi Jinping tussle for power and status. I just want to stop there because, as far as we can tell, this situation that's going on the Korean Peninsula and the situation that's going on in the Middle East is related to oil and the potential downfall of the US dollar, which has been predicted and put into subliminal messaging and predictive programming for a number of years. We see it on magazines and on Illuminati cards. We see it all over the place. So on January the 18th is when China begins trading oil contracts in the yuan currency. According to one source of the Far East, China yuan's denominated oil contract is set to go live for trading on January the 18th. While not an official date announced from government sources, according to an anonymous member of the futures market where the new oil contract will trade, this is the expected date for Beijing to begin its latest challenge to the long-standing petrodollar system. According to the Shanghai-based news portal Zhemin, which cited an unidentified person from a futures company, trading is expected to start January the 18th. Multiple rounds of testing have been carried out and all listing requirements met. The State Council, China's cabinet, was said to have given its approval in December, one of the final regulatory hurdles. The push for oil futures gained impetus in 2017 when China surpassed the US as the world's biggest crude importer. While the Chinese markets are not expected to immediately take dominion over the West's Brent and WTI oil markets, several countries, including Venezuela, Russia, Qatar, Pakistan, and perhaps even Iran, appear ready to transition away from dollar-based oil trade. Additionally, many more nations will likely be willing to dip their toes into this market as it proves itself to be a viable alternative to dollar hegemony and as protection from foreign policy threats from the US, which often uses the dollar as leverage in economic sanctions. So on January the 18th, it appears that the start of the fall of the dollar will be put into place with an alternative given under the petro yuan instead of the petrodollar. And America is not going to stand for that. The Trump administration is not going to stand for that. So what are they going to do is the question. The next topic I want to cover is on January the 15th, South Korea and North Korea are to meet to hold working level talks or talks about the tense situation on the Korean Peninsula. North Korea and South Korea have agreed to hold working level talks at the Tongil Pavilion on the North Korean side of the truce village of Panmunjom on January the 15th. South Korea's Unification Ministry said in a statement on Saturday. The delegation led by the Unification Minister Cho Mong-kong will be sent to hold talks on the prospects of North Korea sending its performance art group to the Winter Olympics in South Korea, the ministry said in a statement. So while China is moving to subvert the US dollar, we have North Korea looking to drive a wedge between the South Korean and the United States military drills. We've been told that the US has promised not to conduct any military drills or to freeze the military drills while the Winter Olympics is going on. However, that's only with South Korea. They haven't promised to do the same with Japan. And at the moment, Japan and the US are conducting military drills. This comes after the report I mentioned a while back about the US military, or rather the military US and South Korean, on the Korean Peninsula, no longer releasing information regarding their military drills. So the way that we have to keep in touch with these topics is to find reports that are coming out from people that aren't necessarily officials of the military and who wouldn't necessarily be involved in those military drills, but who notice things that are going on, like tanks, South Korean tanks moving to the border with North Korea, like China bringing their military to the border with North Korea and China, like Russia, also bringing their military to the Russian-North Korean border and doing missile tests. China also doing missile tests. That comes as we're looking at H.R. McMaster, Donald Trump's security chief, national security chief, lobbying behind the scenes to gather support for the US bloody no strike, which I've talked about as well. So it appears that they are actively looking for support in regards to going for this strike on North Korea, preemptive strike to take out their nuclear test sites, their missile sites and stuff like that. So General H.R. McMaster, who serves as Mr. Trump's national security advisor, has been carrying out a whispering campaign for an imminent military strike against Kim Jong-un. Notice the word imminent. We know that these people have been talking about these things for a long time, but everything seems to be, again, taking another step, taking another level. With all the other things that are going on, as I've mentioned, with China and Russia and everything else, the fact that we have one of the top officials, army official, national security advisor, lobbying behind the scenes for support for this strike on North Korea, excuse me, it says to me that they're pretty much going to go ahead and do that. And I think it's going to be kind of like a simultaneous thing, because if Kim Jong-un notices that they are moving to strike him, which he probably does, because as far as him being a tubby tyrant and all those kind of stuff, he is strategically smart. He couldn't run a country like North Korea without being strategically smart. So I understand that he would be well aware of the situations that's going on. With the USS Carl Vinson going over there, a very strong and powerful and very large aircraft carrier, nuclear capable. We've also got the B-2 bombers, 3 of them that were sent over to Guam, so they could be, within easy reach of North Korea. And if they did strike, they did go ahead with the bloody no strike, it would probably be a simultaneous response from North Korea, maybe sending out a missile or 2. Who knows whether they'd be nuclear or not. Definitely on the South Korean side of the Korean peninsula, things would heat up rather quickly, and thousands, if not millions, could die within the first few hours of this kind of conflict breaking out. It's all on a knife edge, and it just takes one little miscalculation for it to all fall over the edge and turn into this global conflict that we've been trying to warn people about. That comes in line with, I think it was last year, we heard reports of North Korea hacking the war plans from the South Korean military, which involves the US military as well. So the fact that the plans may have changed now. Obviously, if I was national security advisor, I was working in the Trump administration, it would be priority number 1 to change those plans as soon as I became aware that the plans had been hacked. However, it's not as if there's a myriad of ways for these plans to go ahead. Certain things would have to remain the same, thereby enabling North Korea to know exactly what kind of steps or potential steps could be taken in the event that a bloody no strike did go ahead. So the defense expert analyzed the available options for the despot leader in the event of an attack. He explained, if the United States attacked a North Korean missile site, Kim's immediate challenge would be to determine if, in real time, whether the United States just launched a full-blown war. Keeping in mind that North Korean hackers stole alliance plans last year, Kim will look for specific indicators to quickly render this judgment. If World War III had been triggered, the former Pentagon strategist detailed that the leader of the Hermit Kingdom would launch a devastating retaliatory response. He said if Kim concluded that war were imminent, or that it had already begun, he would have no choice but to launch a devastating retaliatory response in hopes that it raises the stakes of conflict enough to cause the United States to back off. There's added urgency too. The more time passes at the start of a conflict, the greater the military disadvantage facing North Korea. So Kim won't want to unnecessarily trigger a war himself, but as soon as he's concluded the war is on, he must take drastic action immediately to maximize his chances of survival. That immediate drastic action does not inevitably take the form of nuclear attacks, but the likelihood that it does is exceedingly high. That goes in line with the British now sending a warship. It's arrived in Gibraltar off of Spain, and will be heading over to the Asia-Pacific region around North Korea. So one of the UK's, or the Royal Navy's, most fearsome warships arrived in Gibraltar on Friday, afternoon ahead of a 7-month deployment in the Asia-Pacific region at a time when tensions surrounding North Korea's nuclear ambitions continue to grow. HMS Sutherland, affectionately known as the Fighting Clan, sailed into Gibraltar for a logistics stop before heading east. The warship left Devonport on Tuesday and will head to Australia, the Far East and the Persian Gulf region over the next 7 months. It is one of 2 vessels being deployed to the Pacific amid escalating tensions with North Korea. Now, I wanted to stop there because the next report goes on to say that there's alarm as no Navy warships or no Royal Navy warships deployed overseas, apart from the 1 or the 2. So it says Britain has no major warships deployed on operations beyond home waters in what has been described as an unprecedented absence of the vehicles on the world stage. All 6 of the Royal Navy's Type 45 destroyers are docked in Portsmouth, while 12 or 13 Type 23 frigates are either at Portsmouth or Devonport. I'm just going to stop there because what that says to me is that either the UK is preparing itself for a potential war on its own homeland, in which case it has recalled nearly all of its warships and hardly any of them are abroad, just 2 out of all the ones we have. They're all stationed around Britain. So my indications are that either they're looking to protect themselves in the event that they're attacked. Well, that is my conclusion, actually. There's no either or. That is my conclusion. They are bringing these warships home and stationing them in the UK to protect themselves. Now, what that says to me is that they have some form of foreknowledge regarding the situation at the moment on the Korean Peninsula, not to mention the fact that we've had the Russian submarines traveling through past the UK, and we've had to get extra planes, submarine detecting planes from NATO. Not only that, but we've got the internet cables that they've been prowling around as well, and we've had Russian fighter jets probing the UK airspace. So, as I believe, in the event that war did kick off with America, North Korea, South Korea, and Japan, Russia would push their advantage in the Baltics, and that includes either attacking Britain or hemming them in so they're no good as an ally in terms of being able to offer reinforcements. We'll have our own situations going on. So it's not unusual for these type of events to take place, but when it's happening all at the same time in this particularly tumultuous time, you have to pay attention and think to yourself, what's going on? This is the first time, as it said in the report there, it's unprecedented. It's the first time that we've had all these ships not out at sea, not supporting other countries and things like that, but at home in the UK. I don't know exactly what that means, but I can take my guesses, which I've already done. That brings me on to the next report, which is just come out today, and some of you may have heard about it already. It's all over the news at the moment, with this Hawaii Force Alert chilling ballistic missile warning issued to residents in error. Now, I don't think that's an error. I think that's a warning. This message went out to say that it was not a drill, and I agree, it wasn't a drill. It was a warning. This is almost it's something that's going to be picked up by all the world's media. All the newspapers are going to be, printing about it. All the TV shows are going to be talking about it. So there's no chance that you're going to miss it. And the fact is, if it's a global warning to all the people out there in the know, then it kind of suggests that there may be something real, not a drill, coming rather soon. The warning sent to citizens' phones said, ballistic missile threat inbound to Hawaii, seek immediate shelter. This is not a drill. However, Hawaii's Emergency Management Agency has said it is, in fact, a false alarm or false flag. Who knows? In a tweet, they said, no missile threat to Hawaii. A spokesperson added, we're in the process of sending another message to cancel the initial message. It was part of a drill that was going on. So as you can see, they're saying it was part of a drill, but somehow it accidentally got sent out as a real message. Then they had to reissue a statement saying that this is not a real threat. This is a false alarm. Take from that what you will, but what I'm taking from it is this is an event to let people know that the real event is not far behind. The drill, as they were saying there, that they're practicing, obviously involves sending messages like this to the residents of Hawaii. So I don't know, in relation to IPEC Goat video, I did postulate one time a while ago that the Obama scene that we have in the classroom, Obama is from Hawaii, and when it appears, when the apple's split and it appears that there's a tsunami and a missile and something going on in that particular part, that's when he looks worried and the sweat going down his face and stuff like that. And I don't know if that's in relation to his homeland, Hawaii, or if that's in relation to something else. But considering the fact that Hawaii has done its, nuclear attack preparedness drills, they've educated their citizens about finding cover within 50 minutes of a alert going out. I just draw conclusions that something involving Hawaii is likely to happen, and that's where we're getting this warning from. And then in relation to all of this, I just wanted to bring up the fact that Walmart, who owns Sam's Club, yep, is going to be closing 63 of those stores, and rather abruptly. And the fact is, last year or 2 years ago in 2016, Walmart announced that it would be closing 269 of its stores. So 269 Walmart stores combined with 63 Sam's Club location stores just says to me something's going on. Something's going on. This is a lot of retail space being vacated, and as far as I know, has not been bought up by someone else. No one else has taken on that land, taken on that property, and put their own stuff in it. So currently we have over 300 stores, or at least we will have once the Sam's Club stores have closed. We'll have over 300 stores that are basically vacant, and most of them, I'm guessing, in line with all of this talk that we've been looking at in terms of like martial law and all those things coming along. These are valuable spaces for detention centers, or even for UN vehicles, as we already know that they have in Maryland, just outside of Baltimore. Baltimore. They've got an entire unit of heavily armed United Nations vehicles sitting behind a mysterious Kellogg cereal plant, and that was revealed to us by Alistair Wilson with the video footage, and it just says, okay, why are they being stored there? Does Kellogg's own the entire facility, or they're leasing it and sharing half of it? Whatever you would think, the UN vehicles are military vehicles. They would ordinarily be stored in a military facility, and seeing as no one has really seen the inside, or if they've got anything underground or anything like that, we can't tell if it's actually a military facility masquerading as a Kellogg's facility. But what we do know is that they have these vehicles there ready to go in the event of what? There's not many scenarios that you would imagine UN military vehicles getting on the street unless it was some sort of global catastrophe. And that just brings me back to a report I did a while ago, which just highlighted how many CEOs have stepped down. And this is a list of CEOs that have stepped down in 2017. Excuse me. And we can see, excuse me, we can see from the list that despite the fact that the stock market has been hitting record high after record high after record high, and it's just going up and up and up, and the economy is so great, and that's what the Republicans keep talking about and saying how the economy is going so great, and jobs are coming back and all that kind of stuff. Yet stores are closing all over the place, and CEOs are stepping down all over the place. And what does this all foretell? It's definitely seems linked to the decision that is going to be coming out of China on the 18th of January in relation to the Chinese yuan. And that all comes just before a potential government shutdown. And there just seems to be so many things going on. It's getting to a point where you're just like, okay, what day is this event that we all know is coming. It's definitely coming. What it involves, it appears from all the predictive programming that they put out there, it will involve some form of tsunami. There may even be some form of earthquake, as we've been shown earthquakes of magnitude 9 and above in movies and all over the place, again with subliminal messaging. Nuclear event has been put into subliminal messaging, even down to biological effects on populations have been shown in subliminal messaging. So unless the only way that you don't connect with these issues is if you don't believe in things like subliminal messaging and predictive programming. And if you don't, then I suggest you go and do some research on 9/11 and see how much predictive programming was out before that event happened. The fact that we didn't pay attention to it then is because we didn't have any idea of these. Definitely we knew that programming and stuff like that was real, but had no idea what to look for. After the event, when you can see all the evidence laid out before you, you can take that and move forward. And this is what we're doing now. We're using the information that they're putting out there on the internet to try and figure out what they're trying to say. This is just nuts. So anyway, let me just take you through this list very quickly, and that will be the end of my video. So CEOs stepping down, 21 of them on this list. So we got Travis Kalanick from Uber, Richard Smith, Equifax, Marissa Mayer from Yahoo, Kwon Oh-hun from Samsung Electronics, Steve Ells from Chipotle, Charlie Ergen from Dish, Matt Salzberg from Blue Apron, Meg Whitman from HPE, David Karp from Tumblr, Tim Sullivan from Ancestry, John Bryant from Kellogg's, as we mentioned Kellogg's already, Mickey Drexler from J.Crew, Tim Westergren from Pandora, Jerry Storch from Hudson Bay Company, Russell Simmons, founder of Def Jam Recordings and CEO of Rush Communications, Ken Chenault, American Express, Cheryl Batchelder, Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen, Mike Cagney, SoFi, Howard Stoltz from Starbucks, Joseph Swedish from Anthem, Rob Reinhart from Soylent, John Scatner from Papa John's. So there was 22 of them there, not 21. But you can see, I mean, this is a time where they're saying that everything is going great economy-wise, and you've got all these CEOs stepping down, and you've got all these stores closing. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't connect. What does make sense is if all these people are stepping out prior to an event happening that causes the stock market to crash. Several events like that could happen. Several events like that could cause the stock market to crash, like war kicking off, or a tsunami hitting New York, or an EMP device being detonated in the atmosphere. So many different scenarios, but only one definite conclusion, and that's the death of thousands, if not millions, of people. And we're trying to minimize the effect, because at the end of the day, not all people will listen. I don't expect for every person in New York to just up and move and get out the country, but you've got things coming from like Golden Globe saying, wearing badges saying time's up. You've got the New York Times. Actually, I want to show that to you. Actually, is it New York Times? Yeah, the Times magazine. Sorry, showing the latest cover of Donald Trump on fire, and it just, when I saw it, I was just like, okay, is there a message? Is there a message there? I don't know, but at the end of the day, you've got just, it's such a simple cover, but several things scream out to you. The fact that time is on fire, fire time, or whatever, something like that. I don't know. Donald Trump, obviously, he's a main character in this scenario that's unfolding, and he's about to complete, if he does complete, his first year in office. And that brings me on to like the last thing I want to say, which is just a summary really of but really kind of like a calendar of things that we've got going on. I may have missed out something, so it's not a full list. If you guys want to list any other things that are happening on certain dates, that will be appreciated. But you got January 15th, which is when South Korea and North Korea are meeting for talks regarding the situation on the peninsula. On the 16th, you've got the CDC having their nuclear catastrophe, what to do in a nuclear event summit. At the same time, you've got ministers from all around the world meeting in Vancouver, in Canada, excluding China, Russia, North Korea. On the 17th is the start of the 12th lunar month. On the 18th, the Chinese yuan denominated contract launches. On the 19th is a potential government shutdown. On the 20th, it's 1 year since Donald Trump's inauguration. On the 30th, you've got the State of the Union. On the 31st, we've got the lunar eclipse, the full moon, the blood moon, the blue moon, the super moon. And then we go into February, where I'm looking at the beginning of February the 1st, 2nd, 3rd. And then obviously I've mentioned, in association with the iPad Got video, the relations it has to Valentine's Day and that kind of time period. So, as I said, maybe not Valentine's Day, anything will happen, but it's certainly indicating that kind of time period. And that's it. As I said many times before, I feel like, we are living in the iPad Goat timeline. The Bible is also fulfilling itself in terms of the wars and rumors of wars that we're hearing about, the fact that nations are rising against nations and kingdoms against kingdoms. Hearts are turning cold because of inequity. And yeah, I think Revelation is being fulfilled. iPad Goat is being fulfilled. One has definite correlations to the other, because it would be foolish to say that, the people that are following the devil and the Illuminati way and the skull and crossbones and the Rothschilds and the Bilderbergs and all that kind of stuff, it's foolish to think that they don't know the Bible and that they don't understand the Bible. And from out of the Bible, they can take those things that are prophesied and fulfill them. And that seems to be what's occurring at this moment in time. I don't know what else to say, but keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open for every little thing that's going on, because I feel like clues and indications are being thrown out all over the place, especially when I'm just sitting here looking at this Time magazine. It just saying to me time, and then when I think of that, as I mentioned, I'll go back to the Golden Globes and it's Time's Up, and then you've got, false alarm missile launches, and UK ships missing from around the world, and military is building up on borders and government shutdowns and all sorts of things happening. So keep your eyes open, stay close to God. You guys have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and God bless you all.